Hello, everyone, and welcome to Loop and Learn's special series, Let's Listen to Our Young Loopers. This is part 2, Looping Kids ages 11 through 16. We thought it would be great to ask teens about their lives with diabetes and Loop, and these kids are very articulate. Once again, we're honored to have as our moderator, Stacey Simms, longtime broadcaster, blogger, author of now her second book, and diabetes mom who interviews prominent advocates, authors, and speakers in the diabetes community for her podcast programs, Diabetes Connections. We also welcome Tina Hammer. She's a T1D mom of a teen and one of the moderators on Loop and Learn. Here are a couple of things you will notice with these involved and very active teens. They are very articulate and self-aware well beyond their years. They all seem to be very physically active and socially active, and they have an easy and connected camaraderie, even though they've just met each other. It's important that we remember that these kids on this program are exceptional, and that not all kids are as self-confident and outgoing. If your teen is less inclined to connect socially, it seems that a turning point might be to get them around some of these young leaders who are compassionate and open to meeting new kids. Perhaps diabetes camp, advocacy, volunteer work, or develop their own special passions into a community among T1Ds with common interests. To the parents of T1D teens who are going through these rough teen years, thank you for your supporting them in both managing their diabetes and learning to cope. You are all doing such a great job. And now let's listen to our looping teens and enjoy. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Stacey. I host a podcast every week, thus the big microphone. But here is not a formal interview. We're just chatting tonight. We're recording just for, I think, with a Loop and Learn group. We might share this with some other folks, but I want you all to be comfortable. Really, there's no right or wrong answers. We're just curious about your experience. I know that Joanne and others talk to your parents all the time. We thought it'd be kind of nice to hear from you. I have a son who has type 1. I don't have diabetes myself. My son was diagnosed when he was 2 and he is now 17. I kind of wish he was home tonight because it would have been fun for him to say hi, but he is out and about. He drives, blah, blah, blah. He has a job. He took his AP US history exam today. So, life is busy. He's a junior in high school. What I thought I would do, if it's okay, is just start out very simply. We'll go ahead and go around the horn. Tell me how old you are now, how old you were when you were diagnosed, and anything you care to share about your diagnosis story, how you felt, anything that stood out to you. Again, this is as much as you want to share. We're not trying to pry into your private lives or anything. I will share that when my son was diagnosed, he was not yet 2. So we knew that something was wrong, but we didn't know what. And then we took him to the hospital. And I don't know if they do this to everybody, but they put all those things on him, those little suctiony things. But he didn't know what was going on because he was 2. So he was pulling them off. And we started calling him Baby Hulk because that's what he looked like. He was pulling them all off. So that's our diagnosis story. But he did better after that. Reese, why don't I start with you? How old are you now? And how old were you when you were diagnosed?
I'm 11 now, and I think I was 9 when I was diagnosed. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was 9 when I was diagnosed.
Do you remember anything about it?
Yeah. I remember at the hospital, there was this thing that always made me want to go home. It was up on the ceiling. Every night I would see, because it was right above my bed, there was a soccer ball and a football just on the ceiling tile. And it just made me sad every time I saw it. I don't know why, but it was really weird.
That is weird. I wonder why that was there. Maybe it was just for the decor of the room, but you're like, I can't play in here. Get me out of here.
Yeah.
David, let me go to you then. How old are you now? And how old were you when you were diagnosed?
I'm 12 now, and I was diagnosed when I was 8. I just remember there was it was they had a water bottle, and it was weird because I remember just watching movies and stuff and just drinking water and stuff. but it was out of like a weird water bottle. It was like out of something that looked like it was like microwavable.
Did it taste any different to you?
No.
Hospitals have some weird stuff, right? It's one of those things. Jesse, how about you? You were nodding your head a moment ago.
Yeah, hospitals are weird. I'm 16 now, and I was 13. I had like an annual checkup, and there was glucose in like when you do like a urine test. So they sent me to the hospital, which was quite traumatizing. And it was a Friday night, so they insisted that I stay over the weekend for training, which was also quite the process. I'm kind of like a mathy sciencey person, so I figured it out within the first day, but I had to stay for the weekend. At which point, they accidentally gave me dairy, which I'm highly allergic to. So
no.
It was a longer than necessary hospital stay, but yeah, that's kind of how it went.
Did you feel bad when they did that physical? You said it's kind of like a routine checkup. It sounded like, had you been feeling bad for a while?
In retrospect, yeah, I didn't realize that drinking 8 bottles of water in like 2 hours was weird, but yeah.
There's a lot of that in these groups. It's like looking back. Oh yeah, that was weird.
It all starts to make sense when you piece it together.
Right. Excellent. Nina, how about you? I know you're driving around. Do you mind sharing how old you are and how old you were when you were diagnosed?
I am 13 now, and I got diagnosed when I was 7. So I think this summer will be 6 years of me having it. When I got it, I was at T-ball, and like I didn't really want to like eat or drink anything. I just didn't feel really good, and so we went into the ER because like I wasn't drinking anything, I wasn't eating anything, and they're just like, okay, we're gonna run some blood tests and stuff, and they figured it out, and I was thankfully, so they told us, go to Fargo. Your daughter has type 1 diabetes, because we live like 40 minutes from Fargo, North Dakota. And so they said, pack a bag, go to Fargo. Your daughter has type 1 diabetes. You're going to be fine. We have great people up there that can help you. So we packed a bag, and we went up there, and they sat us down and they talked to us. And I remember being in the pediatric center of Sanford and being really scared because I had to take a long-acting insulin. Do you remember what my long-acting insulin, my first one I had? The purple one. I had the Lantus Novostar, I think. Or I had the purple and gray pen. That's kind of how I remember it. That was my first long-acting insulin. They had to corner me to give it to me because I was, of course, a 7-year-old child and was scared. And then they, of course, had to give me, didn't they give me Novolog too? It was, yeah, and so they gave me like a basic carb ratio, but I was never hospitalized. I was sent home with a 300-page book on how to treat my diabetes. And it was the Pink Panther book.
I have that right here somewhere.
Cool.
I think we all got it at some point.
Yeah, they sent us home, and the nurse practitioner that actually diagnosed me at our clinic in our little town, she came to our house and made sure that we were okay after we came back from Fargo. And she's one of our dear friends, and so she came over and she made sure that everything was going smoothly, and if we had any questions, we could ask her. And
wow.
They kind of just, why was the reason I was feeling hospitalized? They didn't have room for you. They didn't have room for me. Still talking. And yeah, they just didn't have room for me. So, and I was talking and breathing and kind of running and just a little frazzled, little scared, little 7-year-old.
Do you remember when it got better and they didn't have to corner you for injections anymore? Was that kind of quickly? Did it take a while?
So they did, it was like, it was very small. It was like about the size of this like car. And that's how big our like little area was, like our little I'm going blank.
Well, my question was
Yeah,
really like, were you like 10 before you could handle an injection, or was it sooner than that?
Oh, so it took a little while at home. They'd still kind of chase me because there's no hiding places at home. Day 3, I gave myself insulin. I gave myself a shot for the first time. And it was day 3. I realized that I'd have to go through it. So I might as well try now to get used to it rather than trying to fight battles with them. So
yeah, that's tough stuff. Max, welcome. Glad to see you.
Hi. Yes.
We were this is our first question. So you're actually right on time.
Oh, okay.
For
Perfect.
What we're asking people is to share, and I'm Stacey, by the way. Sorry, I'm kind of here later for the evening.
Okay.
How old you are now, how old you were when you were diagnosed, and anything you remember or care to share about when you were diagnosed, like what you remember.
Okay. Well, I'm 16 right now, and I was diagnosed at the age of 7, and 7. Yeah, 7. And let's see. I don't remember too much because it's quite a long time ago. But I remember, I remember how it was like all like very new, and especially like, I don't know, within my 8 years of having it, almost, 8 years. There's just been like so many new things that's like happened like throughout like this time. I remember there used to be, my dad and I, we called it the harpoon, with like the old Dexcom G4, I think that was. Yeah. Oh, I remember as a little kid thinking, how am I ever going to do this myself? But now there's so much like new things that make it a lot easier.
I don't know if you remember me. I remember you. We met you and your mom and dad at a Disneyland hotel with Gary Shiner, and it was Friends for Life, and we were talking about Loop. And I knew your dad through something in diabetes, and from that meeting, I had already started looping, and 3 other people adults who came, listened to you, and they said, that young man's very wise, and they're all still looping. So thank you so much. You've grown up. It's been 6 or 7 years, but
6 or 7 years. Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you for starting all of this.
Fun fact, my dad actually now has diabetes. He got it, I think would be 2020. He's had it for 3 years.
My next question, this is a group that is obviously pretty technologically advanced. So, I asked the little kids when we talk to them, like, tell me about your technology. Cause they don't, when I talk to a 5-year-old about looping, they're like, here's my pump, but I'm curious. You guys are still kind of different ages. If you wouldn't mind taking me through what you think about looping, how you explain it to friends, even if it's just, here's what my Dexcom is. I assume you don't say, if someone says, what's that on your arm? You say, let me tell you about Loop. But, kind of how you explain the technology. Reese, let me start with you. If somebody sees what's on your arm or asks you about it, and I guess I'm asking a couple of questions. So whatever you feel like answering, how do you tell friends about it? What do you think of looping? Had you tried a system before it, if you remember, stuff like that?
Okay. Well, I mean, when I first started looping, so my friend Nora, she is the one who, if my parents were for some reason out of the area and she needed help me, she knows how to handle the system, and she's 13. So I basically described the whole system to her. But when little kids, like, for instance, I go to swim team, in the locker room, if a little kid comes in and is like, oh, what's that on your arm? I'm like, it's my Dexcom, and I tell them I have diabetes and stuff. And I usually don't go into very much detail, but like my friend Jax, when I first had to describe it to him, I think I was just like, this phone lets these 2 things talk to each other so that I don't have to do these 2 things separately, and so I don't have to dose. But yeah,
that makes sense. And I should have asked too, do you manage your own system? Does your mom help? Do other people help at school? How much of it do you do? Because I mean, like at your age, my son was doing some, but not all. And some kids do everything at 7. Some kids don't do everything till they leave for college. So there's no wrong answer.
my mom does most of it, and my dad does some too. We're like they're trying to get me ready to do it, and I think I'm ready to do it, but my mom is the master of it, so it's mostly just my mom.
That's scary. I'm the master.
And I'm
Yeah.
homeschooled, so
Oh,
the
yeah.
principal, my mom.
That's tough. She's the principal, the teacher, and the diabetes manager. Cool. All right. David, let me ask you kind of the same question. I feel like I asked 5 questions in one there. So, answer what you can, but how do you describe your technology to friends, and what do you think of looping, and do you manage it?
It's mostly like by the age. Like if there's like a 5-year-old, I'd say like my pump or my Dexcom, whatever, like it gives me like medicine. But like if they were my age, most of the people in my grade like know it. But if they don't, or like some teachers or like adults and stuff when they ask, I pretty much say like my Dexcom goes to my phone and my pump goes to my Riley Link, and then my Riley Link talks to my phone, and then they all like coordinate to keep.
Did you use anything before Loop? Did you use any different system?
Yeah, we used Omnipod, like with the PDM.
Yeah. Do you like this better? Do you remember the before?
I do. I still remember like when we were in the like office or whatever, and had the first like test or whatever.
What's the difference for you? I mean, I know what the difference of Loop is. I'm just curious, like, how do you feel about the difference?
I like it, and it's definitely a lot easier. Like not like on your phone and stuff. How like if you go like just onto like the one app, it's just all there, like your blood sugar and everything.
Cool. Do you do it mostly yourself? Do parents still help you? I'm curious.
It's all of us. It's me, my mom, and my dad.
Cool. Jesse, how about you? Did you use anything before Loop?
So I started looping, I think 5-6 months ago now, over our winter break. Before that, I was using the Dexcom and Omnipod separately.
And same question that I asked David, like, I know that when we went from what I would call like a dumb pump to we use Control IQ, it just was so cool because you could, you still have to do a lot, but you could do less. Did you notice a big difference?
Yeah. So initially, and my parents definitely didn't appreciate this. I think I was changing carb ratios by myself about 6 months after diagnosis and other things like that. So I was used to being pretty flexible with basically modifications. And so switching to it is just a much easier way of viewing everything. So first, there is a display, which is you can actually see the effects, like looking at basal rates. That flexibility is huge because there's the insulin on board feature. If I go to sleep one night, wake up the next morning, see the difference. That's like a quick adjustment that you can make. But it's really all flexibility. Like I can look away from my phone for 2 hours and have confidence that if I'm not running around doing anything crazy, my blood sugar will be in range.
And are you at the point where you're kind of still explaining it to any of your friends?
I'm from like a pretty nerdy group of friends. They understand the biology behind it. If they ask, I can pretty quickly explain the technology, but they understand enough, which is the way that the two things communicate. And that one thing is a glucose monitor and then the other thing is an insulin pump.
That's cool.
So when I first got diagnosed and we were like running errands one day, there was this little kid that came up to me and was like, what's that? And like, I was so young. I think it was a couple months after diagnosis and I got nervous. So I just kind of didn't answer. I was so little, but now if someone asks me, kind of like what the other people said, it depends on the age. Because I had one of my friends, she has like, I think when he asked me, he was like 8 years old. I said, I have a computer on me and it kind of controls me and keeps me alive. And I said, when I used to use my PDM, I said, this is a controller that controls me. And he's like, can I control it? And I was like, maybe not. maybe not today. But it was kind of easier because they know like remote control cars. So I kind of just like do that. But now since I've looped, my friends have been asking me, and I said, I usually say since we're in the teenage kind of years and stuff, and they should be able to like differentiate like different types of stuff. I usually, because I started looping in the middle of quarantine 2020 because my mom was determined to do it. She's like, I'm going to do this and you're going to have it before your 6th grade year. And so it's kind of hard to explain to some of my friends because I started off with the Riley link, but now I have the orange link. And I told my friends, so, you know, my flat blood sugar monitor, and then, you know, my like a little bit thicker white pump. I said it communicates to my phone, and my pump goes to my Riley link and or orange link, and it goes to my phone. And they all knew what my PDM was because they all saw me use it every day before lunch. And so I'm like, I use this instead of my PDM, and this is basically my PDM itself. So I take insulin from here, and I kind of explained it to them like how it works and stuff. So if I ever get to be at that point where like someone is confused and like at some point I'm not able to take care of myself, they will know how to do it. But it's kind of just like a process with new things and stuff.
So I assume that you are sitting next to your mother right now. Okay. So you can, I don't know. I'll ask this. You can answer it if you want to. When she said we're looping in 2020, it sounds like you're on board now. Were you concerned about making that change at the time?
I didn't really know what looping was, to be honest. And then my mom, like I would sit by her when she was doing the programming and trying to like load it and all of that. And she would slowly explain it to me, and she'd show me the Juicebox podcast, and I'd watch that with her and listen to it with her. And I just learned that it's like my PDM, but better. Because I've had better blood sugar levels now that I've had it. And once I had the switch, I was a little weary at first because I didn't know. But now that like a month into it, I felt safer and I felt more comfortable going to sleep and all of that.
Cool. All right, Max, you're up. You're last in this group. Sorry, we're going to change up the order after this one. Tell me about yourself, about your use of Loop, and what you tell people about it, and kind of how you've reacted to using it.
Well, I have done almost everything under the sun, like for diabetes, like management wise. Like when I was first diagnosed, of course, I was doing shots and stuff, and then I used the T-Slim for a while, and then I think, as Joanne said, like 6 years ago or so, I started using Loop, and I think eventually it was when I think it was the T-Slim, like their version of it. I was like, oh, maybe I'll try this out so I don't have to hold around the router link, because it was just a little frustrating just having so much stuff. And I was on that for a while. I was on some other stuff, but finally, I think probably 4 months ago or so, I got so mad at my T-Slim that I was like, I need to not have tubing, because it kept on getting occlusions for some reason that we still don't know why it kept on happening. So I was like, can I try out the Omnipod? Because I just want to. So I tried it out, and I haven't gone back. My dad even set it up, because with the Omnipod, you don't need the orange link or Riley link. So I just have my phone and my pod. It was crazy when I learned about that. I was like, even like when I just first learned about the orange link, I was like, what? They have a new one? I was worried that it was going to be like a second thing I'd have to carry around. But
awesome.
My control has definitely been a lot better, like compared to other things.
Cool. All right. So you all know you've had diabetes long enough that you know diabetes can be kind of ridiculous at times, right? You're pretty resilient. I'm sure you've been in situations where you needed to improvise perhaps or take care of some highs or lows. Think about this one for a second. I'd like to know if anything's ever happened that's kind of funny. Anything that you can share. I know kind of putting you on the spot. But I find that sometimes diabetes is just ridiculous. You beep at weird times. You say things when you're low. I don't know. One of the funniest things, I don't know that he thought it was funny. It's kind of like when one of you said the friend wanted to control you. Was that you, Angela? Like when my son was playing baseball one year, there was this whole like crowd in the dugout. I think he was 7 or 8 years old. And we looked over and all the kids were crowding around him. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, did something happen? Is he hurt? One of the kids said, can I use, like, he had to give himself insulin with a pump. It was a tubed pump. It was an Animus, which had the buttons on the pump. And they were like, hey, can we do that for you? And he said, yes. So he had his 8-year-old friend, like, touching his pump. And then they were all like, oh, they want to see, And later, I mean, I was ready to kill him. And later he was like, no, I watched him. Like, he was fine. No big deal, mom. So I don't know. I thought that was funny. If anybody has anything they want to share, feel free to okay, good. Jesse, go help me out here. Jesse, you go first and then we'll get to you, Reese.
So it was pretty recently. We had a test for a club, actually. This was a science Olympiad, and the proctor, who's just a senior in our high school, told us to put our phones in the front of the room, which I don't really care about because 40 minutes without data, 50 minutes, I know what I'm doing. And I knew that my blood sugar was a little bit low. So I was thinking, it's probably going to beep once or twice, even though I've just eaten something. What I didn't think is that my blood sugar was 75 the entire test. So every 5 minutes kept beeping. And I was trying to explain to my friend who is the senior who's proctoring this test that she can just turn it off if she wants to. But she didn't seem to get that. So every 5 minutes it would just beep and everyone would start laughing. It was an experience. Yeah, that's just how it goes sometimes.
She was probably nervous. Like, oh no, if I touch it, he'll explode.
Yeah. I find it funny that she's nervous. I probably shouldn't, but sometimes you can find those things funny.
I agree with you. Reese, did you have something?
I have two. There's this one that happened really recently. So I swim, and underwater, when the pod beeps, it's really loud. It's like beep, beep. And it did that one time, and I heard muffled because my ears were underwater, but I heard somebody say, when they were breathing, they were like, what was that beeping noise? Right after it went beep, beep. And I was like, I just started laughing. But then there was also one thing that was really funny. One kid was and he was he's not very old, but he was like, hey, what's that on your arm? And I was like, it shoots laser beams. I'm a cyborg. And he believed me. He was just jaw on the floor. He was just and he just stood there while he was washing his hands. He was just and I was like, psych. This is kind of funny.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Max.
Oh, it's funny. I've noticed every single year, without a doubt, someone will always make a joke and ask after it beeps. They always make a joke. It's is that a bomb? What is that? It's every single class, one time, I know it's gonna happen. It's no matter what, and I'm just oh.
That's so annoying.
It's annoying, but it's funny. And yeah, that's there's a lot of times that stuff like that has happened.
Can I just jump in and ask, because you're all talking about beepings and alarms, and you're of the age where you can go to the movies or parties. If you ever gone to a movie and your alarms went off in the movie? Ooh, you're lucky.
Funny thing about me. So I did a club volleyball team, and so our usually a senior at our high school coaches one of our teams, And so I had one of our seniors from our school, they coached my team. And funny enough, I was at graduation. It was dead silent right before they announced the names, and mine went off. And I talked to them at their graduation party after, and they're going to stand up and say, Nino. They're just going to like scream my name. And I'm like, thanks for not doing that. And then there was another time where my sister had a friend over, and I believe I was low. It was right before bed. And of course they're going to stay up late because I think she was like a junior or senior in high school at that point. And mine kept going off every 5 minutes. And my dad's phone was in the middle of the house because that's where he charges his phone. And one of her friends straight up said, is Nina going to die?
Oh.
Like, what's happening? They're like, in like a joking way though. But like, and my sister's like, no. It's just a technology. But yeah.
Yep. Well, I've talked to a lot of people who are diagnosed at a very young age. And when the first word they hear is diabetes, like there's a lot of 4 and 5 and 6-year-olds who hear die and they think that's it. Like it's kind of scary. So, but then there's a lot of kids your age and older who use a lot of humor and dry humor. So I get it for sure. Okay. So it sounds like you guys are interested in lots of different things. We've got swimming, we've got science Olympiads and stuff. This is one of those things where I just want to ask you to tell me a little bit about what you're interested in, what activities you do. We're not checking a list. We're not like judging anybody. It's just kind of to show the variety. I mean, like people are always curious, like when you're diagnosed, like, oh no, do I have to stop playing soccer? Do I have to stop, being smart? Things like that. So David, let me start with you. What kind of stuff do you like to do outside of school?
I do rowing.
What? That's awesome.
Yeah, I really like it. But
okay, wait, I have to interrupt. I would think that rowing would take so much energy, and swimming too. So we'll talk to you about that, Reese. But do you have to do anything particular to prep or while you're rowing?
Like when I'm rowing, I always have I have a snack before, so I just have that extra juice or whatever. Well,
right.
It's not juice, but and I'll always have fruit snacks and all that stuff when I'm out on the water or stuff. And then I normally leave my Riley link in my bag or whatever outside of the water, because if I fall in, that's not waterproof.
That's cool. Any other sports or activities? I mean, that's enough, but
yeah, that's all.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right. So Reese, we already know you swim. Is that your year-round your activity? Do you do other stuff?
Mostly, but yeah, mostly. And the way that works is my dad is always there for some team. He just stays there and monitors my number because oh yeah, and I play piano. Forgot about that. But anyways, during swimming, my dad just sits there because I can't really be like, oh, what's the PDM say while I'm doing a 100 of freestyle. So he's just he comes over and puts sugar in my mouth and I swim. And then he does it again if I'm going low.
He pokes your finger.
Yeah, he pokes my finger. Yeah. And it can get very intense because I want to beat my friends. I want to get up to the top of the lane because whoever's in the top of the lane, I don't know, it's just bragging rights kind of thing. But anyways, my dad the other day, we poked my finger and the blood just wouldn't come out. And I was like, oh my gosh, because there were 5 seconds until I had to go. And I finally got it out, did it, wiped it, and then just went as fast as I could.
Yeah. It's hard.
And then I play piano, which is just piano. And
cool.
You don't, yeah.
Well, piano uses a lot of brain energy too. So you might not have to stop to poke your finger, but I'm sure that, you exert a lot of energy in a different way.
Tell her how we handle it when you're playing piano.
Well,
The poking.
Well, yeah, they do my toes. When I'm playing piano, I can just continue playing whatever song I'm playing. I'm like, and I hear.
All right, I have a dumb question. This is more for your mom. How often do you actually check his blood sugar with a finger stick or a toe stick?
Oh,
Because you're using a Dexcom?
we are. We do it way more often than I ever thought we would need to, and we're doing it less than we used to. But yesterday was sensor change day, and we did it
like,
I don't know, like 10 times yesterday.
10 times doesn't seem like a lot
because because of being erratic, and his Dexcom usually reads like 35 higher or more than a finger stick does, but then they converge. So we need to find when that's happening,
Interesting.
And I'm not one to be like, I don't want to do as many finger sticks because I'm fine doing 10 finger sticks. Like if I'm feeling low, I'm like either sugar or finger stick. And yeah.
Good for you. I was just curious because I think everybody's different and everybody kind of finds what works for them. But I just wanted to make sure it wasn't misunderstanding.
Yeah, we count them both as tools in the toolbox.
Yeah.
And we are trying to get so that, and Reese feels his lows too. So he'll say, I'm gonna have sugar, and I'm like, have the sugar. And if you need sugar, you don't need to poke unless you feel like you need to poke. So
but sometimes when I go, like if I go really high, I also start feeling low. It's really weird. Like if I go from 100 to 90, I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, Max, how about you? Do you have any interests that you care to share?
Well, I'm on my school's water polo team.
Cool.
I just got I just got accepted as a lifeguard at the water park that's going to be opening up this summer. So that's going to be fun. Maybe I'll be able to get a car. Let's see. What else?
Hey, Max, how do you keep your pod on in water polo?
So I just switched like around 4 months ago, and the season ended before I switched. But like, I've been doing like the off-season workouts and stuff, and it's just as long as you aren't too stupid with it. Like it did fall out yesterday because I tried to give my friend a piggyback ride and he accidentally knocked it off. But that's to be fair, that was to be expected. I was being not very smart. And then it was, it didn't really matter for me because the pod was already suspended. I was like, oh, I'll just change that when I get home because don't want to go too high.
Well, and it's another sport that is so demanding.
Yeah, it's a very aggressive sport. It's, it has all the stuff of swim, but you're also kind of trying to drown each other just a little bit.
Have you obviously, I wouldn't say you figured it out. I mean, nobody's perfect, but is there anything that you can share about how you manage? Because that's got to be tough. Just like rowing, just like swimming, you're just moving all the time.
Either have like, I don't know, short your lunch bolus or have like a salad for lunch. Or this was just for me because of when the practice was. It started immediately after school. And then just keep an eye out. Usually, since it's good to hydrate anyways, I would just drink some Gatorade just along the way. And that usually was good. Yeah.
How do you keep people from, first of all, that sounds like my kind of game. And second of all, how do you
enjoy swim, try it out. It's actually a bunch of fun. Yeah.
And also there's a ball included. So like throwing around, like doing soccer, but with your hands, but also swimming sounds really fun. Also, how do you keep people from pulling off your devices? Like, because I've seen those like in the really rough matches when people are literally tackling like 3 people on top of each other. How do you make sure that your things don't get ripped off?
Hope it doesn't get ripped off. It's like I don't know. Because normally, like when I was still on tubing, I had it on my stomach, and normally in water polo, it's like kind of like that part of your body's for the most part under the water, and I guess like officially anything goes under the water because the rule is the ref can't see it properly because of glare or whatever. But basically people don't really try to like rip it off, and it's kind of tough to do it. I don't know, maybe things are just a little bit like I've noticed they're kind of like the infusion sites, they're pretty sticky. Like I still have to like rip them out after the 3 days. Yeah, but I totally recommend trying it out. Just like go to, I don't know, like your school or whatever. They probably have a team, especially I don't know where you live, but if you live in Southern California, there's a really good chance it's everywhere over here.
It is.
So
isn't it?
yeah.
It's funny.
So yeah, I actually just started playing it. I started 1 month before COVID, 1 or 2 months before COVID, and then I couldn't really do anything during COVID. So I ran for a bit, and then once everything opened back up, I was able to play again and learn. So yeah, it's a fun sport. It's like a lot more team stuff. Like personally, when I was on my swim team, I was like, oh, this is so boring and repetitive. But then I got it's fun.
Cool. Angela, what about you outside of school? Any activities? I mean, you're coming back from soccer, right?
So today I had softball.
Softball.
And so during the fall season, I do volleyball. I do school volleyball during the winter season because I live in small town North Dakota. So you can basically do any sport if you're mediocre at it. You basically at any point in time if you're mediocre at it. And it depends, like there's a lot of people. But in the fall, I do volleyball. It's my school's volleyball program. And then in the winter, I do my basketball. I'm in girls basketball. And during the winter, I also have a club sport, which is after school. And then after my basketball practice, I'm actually wearing the hoodie for it right now, but it's called Riverside JO. And so I have like practices at least like once a week from like 6 to 8 o'clock after my school season practices. And then I have tournaments all day Saturday. And then during the spring season, this year I was supposed to be dual sporting, but because my family's huge on track. My mom went to state for discus and shot put, but I chose softball over track and field. So I do spring softball. And then I play third baseman, pitcher, and catcher. Mainly pitcher and third baseman, though. And then in the summer, I play summer league softball, which is a different program. Well, it's run by the same person, but we have like a different like mascot or whatever you want to call it. So like it's a different team name because we have some people from other towns come over too.
Cool. And Jesse, we've established that you, before we got on here, we were talking about your science Olympiad, right? Tell me about other stuff that you do, or including that?
So aside from that, I run cross country in the fall, and I'm a long distance track runner in the spring. I actually have, kind of relatedly, a meet tomorrow, and it's supposed to be 45 degrees and pouring rain the entire time. So I don't really know what's up with that, but it's going to be interesting.
This is a very active and busy group of kids. Go ahead, Joanne.
Do you all think, I'm impressed. I am blown away by you kids. Do you think you're active in sports because that's who you are? Or is there some component of this is good for my diabetes, I do better with it, it's healthier for me?
Go ahead, Jesse.
I've always been like really active, running all over the place. But from a diabetes standpoint, what is nice is that I end up needing less daily insulin when I am an in-season athlete or when I'm doing, I guess, running more miles per day. And I think that contributes to better control. So it's not why I run by any means, but it's an added benefit.
David, I saw you kind of raise your hand. Do you want to add to that?
Yeah. I do rowing. Like I started it like a year ago. I don't do it for any like diabetes reason. I just do it because I like it. Like, cause like you're out on the water. and it's just fun.
Cool.
I definitely noticed like you use a lot more insulin. I mean, a lot less insulin and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing sports since I was like, I think 5. I started doing t-ball, summer league t-ball. So I mainly do sports for enjoyment, and it also, I also did dance for 5 years. I did it from 1st grade to 6th grade. And it's just kind of like who I was, because my sisters are a huge influence in why I do sports too, because I have 2 older sisters and an older brother. And so I hopefully want to pursue like most of my like things I like to do are the things my siblings like to do. So both of my sisters did softball. Both of my sisters did dance, and both of my sisters did basketball, and they also both did volleyball. And then my brother did a few sports, but I don't do those sports.
Excellent. As we start to wrap it up, I'd love to know, I mean, you guys are, oh, I'm sorry, Reese, did you want to add something before I moved along?
Yeah, I just had one. I kind of started swimming because like all of my siblings were swimmers, and I started it when I was on the summer team when I was like 4. I wasn't very good, I can tell you that. But I was still on a team, so it still counts.
If you were a great swimmer at 4, we would not be talking to you because you would be at the Olympics probably.
But I mostly just do swimming for enjoyment. It's nice in summer, but during winter, it's sometimes really annoying because one time it was like the pool heater, so we were in an outdoor pool, the pool heater was broken and it was sleeting.
Mm-hmm.
So.
No, thank you. Okay, so what I was leading to was you guys are old enough. This question is basically, is there anything good about diabetes? And I say you're old enough because, you're not, a 4-year-old is going to look at something like that very differently, right? So if your answer is no, that's okay too. But I'm just curious, you're part of and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. So, but I will say you are all part of a pretty cool community, whether it's your parents that are part of it and you're kind of just doing your own thing. But, the looping community is pretty amazing. I'm not really part of it. I'm over here in the East Coast kind of doing my own thing. But I think it's pretty amazing. I'm curious if anybody has any good things to say about diabetes. Oh, everybody's raising their hand. Okay, Jesse, why don't you go first?
So when I was diagnosed, my mom at some point said to me, like, something good will come out of it. I don't think I believed her for a good year and a half. But there's the trivial things like not having to do household chores if your blood sugar. So like that adds up. That's the legitimate point. But
don't
in the
give
grand
him
scheme of
ideas.
things, oh no, you should do that too. But in the grand scheme of things, being able to help people really does make a difference because that feels good. Like, what you went through and you can kind of extrapolate and figure out what someone else is going through. And just the ability to help and be there for someone else is really nice.
That's great. Reese, go ahead.
My main thing is I've made so many friends from the diabetes community. David is one of them. Then there's my friend Jack, who's actually 16 now, soon to be 17. A day before I turn,
he's going to be 18.
Oh, he's going to be 18?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's going to be old. Anyways, I have so many friends from diabetes, and FFL is really fun.
Does anybody else want to add? It's okay if you don't. Yeah, Nina.
So since if you actually search up my name, I come up in a few things. So I went to the Capitol in North Dakota, which is Bismarck, and I went to the Capitol building and I did legislative work. And my mom, it was me, my mom, and her friend, Danelle Johnson. And my mom and her friend both gave testimony. And I was kind of nervous to do it. So my mom wrote a testimony and she gave it. And so did her friend. And I stood by her side when she read it. And then I met Governor Burgum of North Dakota. He came and I talked to him about the bill that I wanted passed and the reasons why I felt strongly. And I gave him a letter and 3 other people letters about how I feel about the diabetes insulin cap being spread across North Dakota and why I think it's important. And a little snippet out of my letter was that we can't control it, so why should we have to pay extremely out of reach prices for something we can't control that we got? And my mother and her friend both wrote the bill, and with a few other people as well. And for more like legislative stuff, I did 3 interviews. I was a teen ambassador for Jader Walk in North Dakota, as well as, and then there was an 8-year-old boy and a 23-year-old older, which was the adult ambassador. And I did one for KVRR News, which was for the walk. And then I was on North Dakota Today, which is Valley News Live morning show. And I was on there twice, and I talked about a diabetes camp that I go to here in North Dakota. And it's called Camp Maverick. And that's one of the big things that I've gotten out of diabetes was the camps, because I've seen and got to know so many new people. And one of my best friends is a diabetic that I met at camp.
That's awesome. Well, we're going to run out of time, but Max and David, anything positive to say before we hit the road?
I think what you said about like all like the camps are they're absolutely great. Like I know that this summer, me and my friends from last summer, we've actually planned to go back the same week, and we're I think we've gotten to the same cabin. We aren't 100% sure, but yeah, it's things like that make it a lot more manageable. Like having like good memories like that. Also, the fact that in PE, if you ever don't feel like running the mile, just say you're low.
Yeah. David, you're going to give us the last word, I think, here. Did you want to say something?
I've met a lot of good friends and stuff through type 1. And then I found out that my neighbor across the street, who used to be, this was when I was like 4 and stuff, so in like preschool, he moved away in like kindergarten. He was a type 1 diabetic, and I didn't know that.
That's amazing. Well, you all have been phenomenal. This was such a pleasure to talk to all of you, and congratulations on your busy, busy, busy lives. I'm sure your parents are really proud. So thanks for spending some time with us. This was awesome. Have a great night, everybody.
You guys are so impressive. I have hope for the future. You guys are amazing. Thank you.
Thank you
Have
all.
a fun weekend.
Thanks so much. All right. Have a good night.
Bye, Jay.